All right. Welcome back to another episode of Rob and Amos Ramble. We got guests here with us, Fort Worth and Bunny. Um, those are those your guys' Zombieland names? Like what is this? We don't
Something
have
like that.
Zombieland names. I feel like we need them.
We definitely need them now.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
Tallahassee is
fair.
good, but I don't know.
Zombieland, for anybody that doesn't know, is one of my absolute favorite movies.
Yes. Avis loves that
Oh,
movie.
well,
Yeah.
then we'll have to watch it.
Yeah, the second one wasn't as good.
Still good, but not as good.
Yeah.
Still worth watching.
I love it. I respect that.
Cool.
I have
Well,
a list
thank you
of
guys for having us.
zombie. I have a list of zombie apocalypse skills that I have to have, kind of based on this movie thing. So,
Yeah.
Oh,
Double tap. I always got a double tap.
I digress.
Well, I'm very much an outdoorsy girl, and we're all about like going on outdoorsy adventures. So I feel like there would be some marriages there somewhere.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, we love to get out.
We're like survival of the fittest.
We're basically dirt
Mhm.
bags. We love getting in the dirt and getting outside.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for coming on. We're gonna talk about old people. I think it sounds like, right?
It feels that way.
It feels that way. So let me just kind of let's do this first. Why don't you guys tell people who you are, who may not know you. I can't imagine anybody's watching our podcast who doesn't already know you, but just in case that's the case, who are you guys?
Well, so who are you?
Fort Worth Playboy.
And I'm Bunny, the ex-matriarch on X. And yeah, so.
How long have we been on Twitter together?
You got on Twitter. Since May of 2018.
Yeah.
We've been around
since
May of 2018. And I was under a different moniker at the time. But.
Yeah.
And okay. Wait, did you get like your account was suspended or something, or what happened?
That's a great question.
It wouldn't surprise me with some of the stuff you post.
Well, no, and it was a lot more explicit then. No, under my Playboy's Bunny, I mainly we just were getting sued quite a bit by people who are in the family that kept wanting us to stop doing Twitter. And so, and we still call it Twitter. And so I was finally like, you know what? This is not worth legal battles over, talking about sexual things with comfort online for a little while.
Can I just go down that road for a second there? You're saying
Go
your
for
family.
it. We talked pretty openly about it.
Your family was upset with this.
So what happened was one of, I think I know who it is, but I can't prove anything. A person who is a friend of a family member essentially dug through and realized, kind of made the connection of who we were versus our real lives, and printed out all kinds of our work, only the most inappropriate stuff, mind you, like only nothing about all the thousands of people we had helped or the couples that we had, saved or any of that, none of that, only the wildly inappropriate things. And mailed packets to my parents, to his ex-wife, like those kinds of people. And it became like a legal issue. And, I mean, my parents were like, you're a 40-year-old woman. Like, I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, this is disappointing. But I said, this is helping people. I'm not selling porn. This is not, if you look at the packet of stuff that was sent, you would think that we were actually doing pornographic things on the internet. So I think that's where the problem lies, is because of the chosen things that were sent. But the bottom line is it kind of became just attention place that I just didn't feel was necessary. And in all fairness, at the time, I also still had one or two, given the moment, kids still left at home. So it's like all of my children are now adults. And so I said, and all of my kids are very aware of my account. I know that sounds inappropriate, but it's really not. I mean, through all of this, they're adults, and through all of this, they kind of found out about it, and now they're the ones who go, well, Mom, since you wrote the book on, they literally use that phrase. Since you wrote the book on it or whatever the case may be, it's
Oh,
like,
you know what? Okay, this is coming back to me now because I remember Fort Worth when we had you on before. I think you mentioned so you wrote this book called basically "Fuck Like a Porn Star." Is that the
yeah,
title
that's
of
the
it?
book
Okay,
title.
okay,
I have
yes.
a course
This
also.
now I'm making the connection
Oh,
here.
she has a
Okay,
course now.
the
Ooh,
Yeah.
course. Okay, nice.
Yeah,
I might
I
have
mean,
to
and
get the
all of
details
that
on
stuff
that one.
is still up under my Playboy's Bunny on Gumroad, but I don't
Yeah.
really push it, so it's
So
there.
so
But
so when we say something like you should be your husband's porn star, that's you aren't getting upset with that.
no,
No.
Yeah, a
1000%.
lot of people do.
We keep
Yeah.
saying quit watching other people's porn and make your own.
Make
Like,
your own. Yeah, why not?
yeah,
Right? This is what we want. We want happy, healthy, sexually charged marriages.
1000%. That is
Yeah,
my passion.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we might have to talk some more about that. Maybe at the end
Sure.
if we have time.
Yeah.
So to kind of set the stage a little bit, you had made a post about a week ago that was about perimenopause or menopause, I think specifically. So you sounds like you went through kind of induced menopause at the age of 30.
Yes, it was my 30th
So
birthday gift.
oh
Oh.
my gosh, I can't imagine. Um, but the post, it really, it was, I sent it to Avis. I was like, wow, this is a really great post, a lot of good insight. And what really stuck out to me was you were kind of just talking about like, at some level, a lot of this stuff we talk about, you have to kind of throw out the window because things just get kind of irrational, and you just kind of have to love the
What?
woman through it, right? I mean, I think that's kind of the gist of what you were trying to say.
Truly. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, and I thought, this would be a great topic actually to talk about. So I was like, hey, you guys want to come on and let's talk about this topic, right?
Yeah.
Because I
And
think there's a
here
lot
we
of
are.
couples out there probably very useful for.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It's a great topic. I mean, make no mistake, because I went through it for my 30th birthday, it is kind of something that I'm living through again because I have so many friends that are going through it. Quite literally every girlfriend, of our age bracket is in the middle of it, is destroying a marriage over it, is making their children nuts over it. Like, you name it, it's happening. And
yeah.
it's like you said, it's not rational. And
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
where you have to and that's where my primarily male audience comes in, because I'm like, listen, if your person is going through this, it's not the most masculine thing to say, but you kind of do have to just kind of love them through it. And eventually you will get to the other side. And I've had several clients over the years who came to me when they were in the middle of it, when their wives were hating them and they were miserable, and if they could just kind of stick it out, like I always say, love them through it and try not to piss them off, then at the other side of it, in postmenopause, it's better again. It's different, but it's better.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
I know you guys know Monica on X, obviously. You're familiar with
Hamburger.
her account.
I might have said that wrong.
I do not.
Maybe.
Go ahead.
All right. Well, I'm sure you've seen her stuff. Maybe you just didn't realize it was her.
Probably.
But
Yeah, exactly.
Probably.
she kind of she talks about like once being full menopausal and kind of having her HRT dialed in. It's like she's kind of like back to being like she was 20 at 20 all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because which was something I actually look forward to on the other side of perimenopause. At least that's what I'm telling myself.
Yeah. Well, and and we've talked about that, like where it really does have to be dialed in. That HRT has to be kind of fine tuned to get that perfect blend. But once it is, you're in great shape. And the great thing, I think you get on the other side of menopause more smoothly if everything's dialed in and you aren't burning your life to the ground when you're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I think that's where, on the other side, in postmenopause, that kind of relationships aren't quite the same because there's been so much damage done during those hard times. If you can keep the damage to a minimum by really being proactive. And here's the thing, I mean, people love to come at me every time I mention HRT, and say how dangerous it is, even my physician was like, listen, the placebo study versus the estrogen study or whatever, the risk is so minuscule. Yes, it's more of a risk of these different issues, but it's so minuscule. It's not worth destroying your quality of life, your family, your marriage, your sex life. It's not worth any. It's not worth
Yeah.
sacrificing any of that for the tiny little minute, bump in risk that it causes.
Plus,
Yeah.
the newest studies show that it's cardiac risk averse, right? So it's improving your cardiac risk more than it's limiting, or more than it's, see, like I'm having these words, I can't find the words.
Yeah,
More
it's
than the
menopause
risk.
brain. It's
Incre-
okay.
more than
Yeah,
yeah.
But
yeah.
that's
So it's better for
1000%
your
true.
cardiac system than it is worse for your other risk factors.
Well, and consider from a fitness standpoint, because I know you guys are fitness people too. If you feel better, you look better, you have more energy because of HRT, because of these hormone replacement therapies, you're going to be more physically active. You're going to be more willing to go out and do stuff. You're going to have the energy and the want to get out and move your ass. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to have the added benefit of strengthening your heart in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it is ugly. I mean,
It's rough.
when I went into fitness and I was like in my 30s, the last thing I thought that I would deal with is lots of menopausal women. It was like the first word I learned once I really, I was like, well, maybe I'll work with like bodybuilders or athletes.
Every
And
person later.
it was all moms.
Yeah.
All these moms. They're like, I was like, okay, because what do we say? Sometimes the market chooses you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and then very quickly, you only have to have people about 5 or 10 years, and then you're dealing with menopause.
Yeah.
They're like, nothing's working. I'm gaining weight. All the horrible
Yeah.
classic symptoms.
I'm fat. I'm mad.
Yeah, I'm mad. I'm angry. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I've been
Rage is the
exposed to it more
number.
than most straight men, with multiple.
Rage is the number one reported symptom
And
for
they're mad.
perimenopause that takes women to the doctor for HRT, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Rage.
that's what I've seen over the years is that, and even some of the physicians that I trained, they'll say, the women that refuse or for whatever reason do not use any hormonal support, they just take a beating.
Yeah.
It's just rough. And for everybody gets to make their own choice. But
Yeah, sure.
you can look at them, you can tell the ones that haven't used any type of hormonal support. And being in fitness, how large hormones are drivers of appearance and how you feel and how you think. And so, they're big steerers of your quality of life.
Yeah.
So that's just from what I've seen.
Yeah.
And you deal with enough people over time, you see consistency with that.
Yeah. It's true.
Mhm.
But I've seen far more people on HRT than I see not using any type of support nowadays. At least
Yeah, it
that's who's
seems to
getting
be
in front of
getting a
us.
lot more common. I know Avis. She just recently started estrogen, so that's something new that she was doing testosterone and progesterone. Progesterone, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
And estrogen is just something, and it's like
It's the holy trinity right there.
yeah, but
Let's hope.
but its availability.
Yeah.
We're finding
10
out
out of 10
estrogen.
recommend.
There's so many people using it, like it's hard to get. Like our local pharmacy gets 2 boxes a month.
Well, because
Oh,
they
that's
took the black
interesting.
labels off, the black box labels, and now a lot more women are starting to consider it. But I will
Gotcha.
tell
Exactly.
you,
So there's a
even
lag.
after, yeah, I had a discussion with my doctor about it, and of course, risks were discussed. And then when we went to fill the prescription, the pharmacist gave me like the what for? Do you have this, or this? And I was like, dude, like fill the prescription.
Yeah.
Like I have already been through this. I don't need you lecturing me.
Yeah, fill the
That is
prescription. We're putting it on
fascinating.
her here in the store.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Well, and one thing that, of course, I'm 47 years old, so I've been on estrogen for 17 years and counting. But what's interesting is I was only recently put on progesterone because I went through a full hysterectomy, so I don't have any of the
Yeah,
reproductive.
I was going to ask that if I rewind a little bit. Like,
Oh, yeah.
how did you end up
So I
at
went through a
30?
full hysterectomy. Endometriosis runs in my family.
Okay.
It's kind of a given for females in my family. And I
Mm.
had no reproductive problems whatsoever. All of my symptoms were gastro. None of them had anything to do with like cramping or any of it. And so, it really wasn't on our radar, but it worked out. And so because I don't have a uterus any longer, we're just talking about all kinds of stuff here.
We did this before.
Yeah, they didn't put me on progesterone. They put me on estrogen only. Um, and but I was starting to, as I hit about, I guess it was about 45 or so, maybe like 44, 45, let's call it, a few years ago. I was just kind of starting to feel like sluggish. The estrogen wasn't really seeming to do all that much anymore. Like for even when I first met him, which has almost been 10 years ago now, I said, okay, listen, if I'm ever seem like not myself or I seem cranky, feel free to say, is your estrogen patch in place? Because sometimes I'd take it off and I'd forget to put it back on, or gets caught on my jeans or something like that. And within hours, I'd be like cunty, like just mean.
Oh,
And that's
Wow.
are
not
you
how
taking
I am.
notes?
Yeah.
I'm not a mean person. I'm not really an angry person. And so, I was very clear from the get-go. If I ever act out, it's not me. It's the hormones. And so, but because of all that, like, and then fast track to a few years ago, I went to the doctor specifically because I was like, I'm not noticing if I forget the estrogen anymore. I'm not noticing if my patch isn't on. And I'm not noticing it for weeks at a time. And
Mm.
do I need it still? And they were like, yes, you need it. Two, you need progesterone because I also wasn't sleeping. But because I had never needed it before because of the lack of uterus. I wasn't put on it. And then they also put me on testosterone and I felt like $1,000,000. I was like, this is fucking awesome. Like,
Where's my
yes, sign
cape? I'm
me up.
Superman. Let's go.
Yeah.
I had just spent like 2 years eating nothing but pizza and sleeping, it seemed like, if I wasn't working. And I was hating myself, of course, in every way, shape, and form. And then I was like, oh, there I am. Bunny's back. Like,
Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
different world. So, yes, 10 out of 10. I recommend that Holy Trinity for sure.
Nice.
So you talked a little bit about it. I mean, what are the kind of the emotional and physical symptoms that happen with perimenopause?
Like
what
Rob doesn't know.
What? Yeah. We're asking for the audience here.
Everything that y'all are dealing with, I'm sure. Okay,
Yeah.
so I actually like printed notes out because I was like, I don't want to miss anything. I don't want anyone to get, miss the forest for the trees because of me saying something wrong. So if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes.
No, go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want to be
But
accurate.
just
Let's hear your list.
Yeah. So, you've got perimenopause, you've got menopause, you've got postmenopause. Each of these kinds have their own, specifications. But for the most part, let's say just menopause as an overreaching umbrella term to kind of cover all of the life changes that happen as soon as you kind of start weaning off of having a normal menstrual cycle, like normal cycles. So irregular changing periods, which can be frustrating. Like, make no mistake, all of these get linked to the reason that women are kind of destroying their relationships or making the men in their lives unhappy or not wanting to help their parents with stuff or getting frustrated with their children or hating their jobs that they've always loved. Like, all of this, you kind of go, oh, well, no wonder she's a raging cunt. Forgive me, I'm loving that word today.
Oh, it's great. You're giving me some. I don't call
Don't use that
very
word
often, but I
with
might start using it
menopausal
more
women.
often.
Note to self, nobody say that actually to the person who's dealing with this. So irregular changing periods, which can be very frustrating as a woman. Not only do you never feel right, but you're off of a cycle that you've been on for 30 plus years, right? So depending on when you started your period and when you start to wean off of it, you know, that's a long time for it to be like, oh, well, it's been 23 days. So of course I'm feeling this way. Where it goes from that to being like, I've, have I missed a period and am I fucking pregnant? Like worst case scenario, you know, I've got grandkids and it's like, you know, whatever the case may be, it's like a lot.
All this is bringing back traumatic memories. I forgot all about this stuff.
And he and I did not go through this together. So his traumatic memories are with someone else. So
Bunny wants to make sure she points that out.
Exactly. I was a breeze. I was a pleasant. I immediately put those estrogen patches on and I was smooth sailing. But hot flashes are night sweats. So think of how terrible you feel when you have like one off night of sleep. You wake up, you're foggy, you're kind of mad, like nothing, your regulations are off, you can't get hot or cold or whatever the thing is. You're probably hungrier than usual. Now, make that a consistent part of your miserable life for days, months, years on end. And that's where peri and menopausal women lay. You know, that's where the progesterone really, really helps, is specifically with being able to shut down and have good sleep. Like it's not a sleeping pill, but it helps kind of reset things and heal the body a little bit so that you could kind of function a little bit more normally. So each of the Holy Trinity, you know, certainly plays their own part, but progesterone is great for helping with the night sweats and things like that. So hot flashes, night sweats, leading to sleepless nights, sleep disruption, and insomnia. Vaginal dryness, you know, and along with vaginal dryness comes discomfort during sex. It comes from helps with it helps create UTIs and urinary tract issues, urgency. Like all of this happens because that area of your body gets even drier than your face and hands. Like everything in your body as a female is essentially completely drying out from the outside in, and it's absolute misery. Every time you look in the mirror, you've aged 10 days, and it's ridiculous. It's so frustrating, but also it's no wonder that women maybe don't enjoy sexual stuff as much, or it takes them a little bit longer to warm up sexually, or it hurts, or things that they used to enjoy just genuinely doesn't feel good anymore. And it's not because they don't like you anymore necessarily. It's not because you're not doing the right things or doing the things that have always worked in the past. It's genuinely that her body is drying up from the inside and nothing is comfortable. You know, you're folded into a million different positions sexually, and all you can see is your belly or your, you know, weirdness that's never been there before. You know, you look at your hands and all you see is crepey skin. Like it's a drag. But it all stems very much from just this internal dryness that just works its way out. And then like I think that like palpitations go along with for some people, and really
like
that
heart
just sounds
palpitations. Kind of?
yeah, and really that just kind of goes along with like the night sweats. Of course, you're going to kind of be up and down if you're feeling lousy like that, if you're not getting sleep. It increases the anxiety levels and things of that nature. So all of that plays in and is the joy that is menopause. Doesn't that sound fun? Wouldn't you be a pleasant just burst of spring fresh air and flowers if you were dealing with that every day for like 7 years straight?
And completely rational.
Yeah, completely rational. I mean, I hate to just completely give females a pass because most really do tend to really lean into it, because make no mistake, most women that I've ever met, I don't know, it's got to be like 2 or 3 years in before they even start to consider that this may be a menopausal issue, and not that her husband's a jerk or that their kids are acting up or that the world is going to shit. Like, no, it's me.
Yeah, I've heard others say that same thing. It's like these marriages are going off the track, and it's like they hate their husband and everything else. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, they realize it's hormones. They get their hormones straightened out and they're back in love with their husband. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the lack of education on it is just mind blowing.
It
And
is.
I can
there's
see
some
that.
people that think they're educated on it and they talk about it and you're like, wow, like you actually don't have a clue still. Like you know that
Yeah.
it exists, but you don't actually know what it is.
Well, and I know it's not terribly fair to say, but it really is. Even when I hear geniuses in the medical field who are male talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I mean, that sounds great from a book perspective. Yes, I understand that that's logically the correct thing that you're saying, but it's also like, oh, no, 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 no. I really, when women talk about it, when women physicians and experts in medical, science talk about it, then I'm kind of like, oh, okay, she knows her shit. If
Right.
she's over the age of like 50, I really trust her.
Yeah. I mean, you really hit the nail on the head where the doctor's like, oh, sleepless nights. Okay, you have those. Check. Oh, you sweat at night. Okay, check. But you're like, no, like, think about what that's doing to you physically and
Yeah.
emotionally, like night after night after night. And it's just like,
Yeah.
you wake up
Well,
tired.
yeah. Well, hot flashes are not just like being warm. Like, it's not like, oh, turn the air down, I'm warm. No, it's baking from the fucking inside
Yeah.
and nothing works. Nothing cools you
Yeah.
down. You absolutely have no control over whatsoever. You don't have any control over how long this hot flash is going to last. And it can come. And the most frustrating part is most of the time it comes at the most inopportune time, when you're trying to sleep, when you're trying to look good because your son's walking down the aisle and you're a melting mess. Like when you're trying to organize holidays, like all of this happens just out of the blue. It's kind of like when you're a teenage boy and you randomly get erections because the wind or some picture or like it's that, only not fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Every night at 8 o'clock the last week, I've had a hot flash. And Rob will be sitting on the sofa watching TV, and Rob will be like, oh, your palms are sweaty. I'm like, dude, my whole body is like sweat to the surface.
Yeah,
It's not just my palms.
exactly. Yeah.
It's like
So how long
laying
does
on the
that
surface
usually
of the
last for
sun.
you?
That one is pretty quick. That, like, for whatever reason, 8 o'clock every night, it lasts a few minutes and it sort of I turn down the air, it dissipates,
Good. Good.
But I mean, I just started the estrogen and I'm hoping that has some effect on them, but it's been brutal
Yeah.
lately.
The night sweats
Yeah.
are really bad for her. And
Yeah.
it's interesting how that it's, I don't know. Is night sweating tied to estrogen in women too? I mean, is that an estrogen thing? Yeah.
Yes.
Cause I know in
Yes.
men it is too. I got on TRT about a year ago, a little more than a year. And I was started having like night sweats and some other stuff happening. And I thought it was that my estrogen was too high. But after I kind of met with somebody who's more of an expert in this stuff, they're like, no, your estrogen, you need to bring your estrogen up. And I was like, well, it's already out of range. And they're like, yeah, don't pay attention to that. It doesn't matter. And so
Fascinating.
they've been working with me to actually bring it up, and they're right. The night sweats have stopped and all that. So it's just interesting how even like in men and women, we still have these hormones, right? And you
Yeah.
still can kind of have now it's,
Yeah, the estrogen is primarily related to the hot flashes, the night sweats, and all the like dryness and things that go with that. So the UTIs, urinary urgency, painful intercourse, things of that nature. And then the progesterone primarily helping keep the estrogen risk down from like the cancers and things of that nature that are concerning, but helps with sleep. And then the testosterone essentially helps your well-being as much as anything. So that's where like a little bit more sexual satisfaction or at least openness, it like kind of kicks back in. Just a overall feeling of just kind of being ready to take on the world, a youthfulness.
Energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But make no mistake, now we have a personal training client who we're like the same age, and so we're always kind of going through our hormone conversations together. And the other day she actually said, "Yeah, I started just trying to take my husband's testosterone, but it doesn't help me at all. I was just like, oh my God, please stop that. Don't take your husband's testosterone thinking that that's going to be the same thing. It's not. It's not the same formulation. It's not the same.
It's not the same.
You want to become a man, you take your husband's testosterone.
Pretty fun.
There's a lot of nuances to testosterone for
Seriously.
sure.
All of it, yes.
I did. I was just like, stop that right now. Talk to your physician, please. Please don't ever do that again.
So let me ask you some. We're gonna get into it now. Okay, we're gonna get into the
Okay,
weeds
let's
here.
go.
It's gonna probably get controversial, but so how do I want to phrase this? So you were talking about, I mean, you know, you guys well know, I mean, sex is everything to men, right? I mean, men get married because of sex. Men, like, everything is pretty much sex, right?
Yeah.
And so when they've got a wife now that's going through this, and some of the things you talked about, you know, it's just hormones are struggling with it, right? And I see some at times bad advice out there, I feel like, for men, which is, you know, you get some of these black pilled guys and they're like, oh, dude, your wife like snaps at you. It's over, dude. Like, get a divorce, right? Like, they don't really understand this whole hormone thing and, you know, that sort of stuff. And they don't really have a lot of, you know, grace about it. What I'm kind of driving at is, you know, you're talking about just kind of loving them through it. But what does that look like in practicality? So if you've got a wife who right now has a mismatched libido because her hormones are just freaking nuts, I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
And you've got a guy who's, you know, he's fine, right? He's good. He wants to have sex every day or every other day or whatever it is. You know, what would you tell people? What's your advice to men on that, or women?
Do you have anything?
I've never experienced it because you always kind of say she kind of stayed even. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
it was always high and then it became sort of high, you know? So that didn't really vary so much. You do have a good point on the black pills, but I always kind of like mentally, these guys tend to be younger. You know,
yes,
the vast majority of your
yes,
guys who, you know, are married and they work construction or, you know, they're a contractor, whatever. She's a bitch when he gets home and he's like, God, she's such a bitch. And he just keeps saying that to himself for like 5 years. And he's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's guys, I mean, if guys like, you know, like a hair trigger divorce, you'd have a sky high divorce rate.
Sure,
You know,
absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
way, you know, and I've, you know, encouraged men divorce them if they're difficult. Just divorce them, walk away. But in general, most men won't, they'll grind it out. That's their job, you know. Honor and duty and you know, and allegiance to her and reciprocity. But they just grind it out. I don't know what to say other than you have to know it's on the other side. But most of them just kind of go with it and they what would you say? They outlast it.
Yeah.
That 2 to 5 years, and then she's kind of like normal. The dead bedroom thing, of course, being a completely different issue because it happens at every age. I mean, even like newlyweds, you'll see
Yeah.
the complaints. So that's where he's like, maybe you got to get your hormones checked. You know, if he is savvy, but most guys don't. They're not. They don't have any connection to their body. They don't exercise. They don't know what's going on. They just know, God, she was a bitch when I met her, but she's a real bitch now. You know, they're like, and they may go home and go, Mom, you know, Sally's such a bitch. He says, give it a couple years. You know, and just ride it out. The kids are still in school. Then decide what you want to do.
Yeah.
And she's out of it, or you know, she's on the other side in 2 or 3 years. And that's what I see most. I mean, I know it's like a no question. It's a non-answer to a very important question, but I've never experienced it. I try to stay away from areas that I don't have any, you know, on the ground experience or enough coming back.
Yeah.
And that is what I see. And but make no mistake, we've had people reach out to us where Bunny says the first thing she'll ask me if this guy's dealing with his wife, she'll say, "How old is she?" And I'll say, she's like 47, 50, 52. And she'll
Mhm.
say,
Right in
she's
that
going through
age.
menopause. Because it doesn't even click off real quick with me, even though this is my job. It's not always the first line of defense, but they're dealing with that. And she's like, well, she's going through menopause. But like she says, she won't admit it.
No.
She
Yeah.
won't admit it to herself. Maybe she doesn't know, or it's very,
Well, it's an old
I think
people thing.
it'd be very
Well,
difficult.
and it starts so slow. It really is
Yeah.
like drowning from the shallow end, right? Like
Yeah.
you're
That's
like,
a good.
okay, like I
That's
picked
a
up
good
a
point.
pound, no big deal. I look in the mirror, I'm just getting a little bit older, now we're knee deep, and you're like, okay, well, that's 2 pounds, and I didn't feel like doing anything today but laying in bed. Okay, now we're waist deep, and I'm like, yeah, Rob, I think there's something happening here. And he's like, well,
Yeah.
go take care of it. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you know how difficult it is as a woman to go and like take care of 3 different hormones? Like, I'm terrified. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, you're going to have to do it.
Well, and I think that that's one of the, and I'm not calling you out, Rob. I'm just saying in general, it sounds like you handled it okay. But I think that a lot of guys are just like, you're being a bitch, go fucking fix it, because that's male thinking, correct? Like there's a solution. Let's find the answer and let's take care of this. And so I think a lot of men in general kind of start naming the character rather than the pattern. So instead of saying, you know, I've noticed that you're dealing with this and this lately. Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? What do you think it is? It'll be like, I've noticed you've been a real bitch lately, and you know, you need to stop, or you need to fix your attitude. Well,
And you're
I
saying
think
bitch
that's
is better
one
than
of
saying
these.
cunt? I'm just trying to understand. Is that
Yeah,
better?
yeah,
That's a better
exactly.
delivery?
You
Okay.
don't say, I've noticed you being a real
Well-
cunt lately.
Man, and not to point out the elephant in the room, but 90% of the time he'll be like, I think you need to talk to a doctor. She goes, no, it's you.
Yeah,
It's you. You're the problem. That's what we need to. We need to go to therapy. It's you.
yeah.
And he's like, fuck.
Seriously.
Now I'm in the hair. Or she's even like doing the whole I want a divorce, and he's like, honey, you need to talk to a doctor because you're 30 pounds overweight. You've never acted this way in your life, and the kids are still in the house. What are you doing?
Yeah,
So you're like, oh, it's not me, it's you.
yeah.
And so you're dealing like with a mental patient now. It's like, what do you
Only now,
do?
only
I
then
mean, do you call
am
the
I
sheriff
mental.
and have her, put in the hospital? I mean, what do you do? Because 90% of the time she's going to be like, oh no, it's not me. It's the way you are.
Yeah, it's true.
So
It's true. And I call that like, she's mad about the symptoms. She's wanting to fight over him not taking the garbage out, instead of the fact that there's a foundational issue that needs to be discussed here.
I call it blaming the victim.
Yeah. Yeah. Every woman's journey is different. And
We're all
I
about
never
to go.
experienced
I was the
I never
victim here.
experienced looking at Rob and thinking, "Oh, I hate this man." But I remember looking in the mirror and being like, "This, like, I'm educated enough to know that these are my hormones." And when I go to Rob and I say the word menopause, he's going to be like, "Oh my God, you're old."
Yeah.
Oh,
There is
yeah.
that mental.
Oh, sure.
That's a really good mental hurdle to keep in mind, is not only do we not want to admit it to ourselves, but we don't want our men to think of us
That's old. Yeah, I
as
get to see that.
post fertility, of not being, like kind of being past that prime, hitting the wall, whatever you want to call it. Absolutely.
Right.
We're like, no, that's other people. That's old women. That's not us.
And it may be mentally because all of a sudden she goes from where she's at, which is vibrant, now she thinks of her grandmother.
Yeah.
A little
The
gray haired
Golden
lady,
Girls.
that's like
Yeah.
4'11". It's like all of a sudden, but of
Very
course it's not being true. No.
Yeah.
I mean, and we get exposed. I mean, and you're smarter than the average person, but again, we're exposed to a lot of people, so we kind of know what's coming, down the road. But not everybody does.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I will say, I think that the women who are very in tune with like their cycles, their like period cycles, their menstrual cycles, and who kind of go, and there are women who go into woo land and it's like, I'm in the follicular phase right now. And they just talk about it all the time. That just weirds me out. But as long as you kind of go, okay, I know I start in 3 days. So it's not that he hasn't taken the trash out that's pissing me off. It's that I am cranky right now. I think that women through that 30, 35, 40-year cycle of menstruation, if they can be enough self-aware that they recognize those kinds of patterns, I think that they'll have a better ease into the menopausal stuff as well, kind of going, oh, that's what this is. This is essentially like those last 3 days before I start all the time. Oh, good.
Yeah.
But
Or
I think
maybe
it's
Monday,
easier.
Wednesday, and Friday, but not Tuesday and Thursday,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No rhyme or reason to it whatsoever, like riding a roller coaster. But I think that one thing that men could do to answer that, actually circle back to your original question here, is truly to not call out this character that she's being, and not name call, not kind of get into that attack mode. Because if you get into attack mode with this, you're going to lose and you're going to get your eyes ripped out. And she doesn't even have to be an aggressive human being before, but now you're dealing with a different person. I mean, I even have to remind Fort Worth of that sometimes, in just like dealing with his ex-wife. She's a great mom, like no shame on her, but she is a little bit older than I am. So and she did not get to go through menopause at 30 like I did. So I say, this is not the woman that you know. This is a woman who's 15 years older than when you were married to her. She is this age, like, this is a different human being. You can't treat her like you did when she was 35. She's not anymore. So it's just kind of those reminders that it's like, okay, don't approach her like you would when she was 25 when you met. Approach her like you do when she's 50 and you're living in it right now.
Yeah. But I don't really think we answered the sex question. So I mean, I've been very, very fortunate with Avis in terms of, I've said many times, she's been very easy to be married to, all things considered, over the course of our marriage. Right. And even now going through this perimenopausal phase where, her hormones are up and down, and sometimes she's more, sexually receptive or aggressive than others, right? Which is normal.
Yeah, when you feel good, you feel good, and the hormone surge is great.
Right. But she always, even through all this, has kind of had the attitude of like, hey, sex is important and I'm going to get there one way or the other and do that.
Exactly.
But not all women are there, as we know, right?
And
so
if women are already in that kind of lukewarm area, and then the perimenopause hits, it's just
it's
the
like
icing on
throwing
the cake.
dynamite on gasoline.
It's just,
something.
it's just one more reason not to do it. I mean, and again, these are things that men reach out to us about
all the time.
Yeah, but not specific. And there's things that you can do, but dealing with the perimenopause, I mean, but dealing with dread or, reigniting, these are like nuclear options, and you need to be in a serious position and recognize that if it is perimenopause, dread may not be the best route to take.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead, you may have to play the waiting game. It's still your wife. But she's not who she was, and she'll be a little bit different, but she'll be back to normal in a couple of years. That's a tough sell. But
and I think that's why so much of what we, especially Fort Worth, I would say, teaches on, because he does a lot of front end stuff. Like he does a lot of like front end dating, front end, not pickup necessarily, but like that front end stuff, the first few months, right? And like, I think that's where, if she's not receptive to you early, next, like, get out of there. It's not going to get better just because you get more established in relationship. As the more comfortable that women get in relationship, the more we're willing to say, you know what, fuck right off.
Yeah.
That's, so if she's kind of already in that boat,
It's not a good indicator for future performance.
Yeah, we say go after the yes girls or the maybe girls, but avoid no girls, altogether.
So what I hear you saying is premenopause, like if you've got a wife that's already giving you trouble, or a girlfriend, or a girl that you're thinking about marrying, like you just understand that's going to be amplified 100 times
Yeah.
when she gets to this stage of life, and it may not be something you want to deal with.
Yeah.
You know?
And again, for a lot of ladies, and you hear this, they're like, thank God I don't have to do that anymore. I mean, they were never big enthusiasts of sex in the first place for whatever reason, the way they're, designed, or,
Guilt and shame.
just there's always the mental and the physical aspect and their genetics. But now it's a reason to get on the off ramp.
Yeah.
They say,
I have an excuse.
Yeah, I'm done.
I've had my babies now.
Yeah, I've had my babies.
Yeah. Anymore.
So it's up to him to vet, right off the bat, you stop these long-term problems on the front end, or at least address them early on. So,
but if you're already in it, like, let's be real, like a lot of people kind of find themselves too late, already in a relationship of this kind. And I mean, I get comments all the time on X or wherever, where it's just like, well, just cheat, or just, well, or there's the fact that you still have kids at home, or you have a family together, or you've still built probably a 25-year life together at this point. And it's like, cheating may sound really great, but I mean, I get this. I get it. I get the appeal. Make no mistake. But there's also the till death do us part bullshit.
It's not the hair trigger answer that most guys, in our little world, or like on the internet, on Twitter, it just is the knee jerk reaction. But a lot of these guys are 25.
Yeah.
Sure.
That has a lot to, when you're 45 or 55, that's not the first thing that comes to mind.
Yeah.
I've built this thing.
Yeah.
It's going to go another 20 or 30 years. I need to fix it.
Yeah.
There's just
I kind of like the way Pat Stedman, I don't know if you guys follow him at all, but like he talks about just good faith, which is a term I really, really like, right? Sometimes you just have to approach the stuff with good faith, which is, I mean, it's gone to shit, but I want it to work out. And in good faith, we're going to figure out how to work it out.
Yeah.
And I think that I really like his stuff. We've been friends with him for a long time. And I think that that's a good way to put it, because that's the bottom line is, we said however many years ago that we were going to go through shit together, and we knew that it was going to get tough sometimes, but if you can, in good faith, know that the person that you're dealing with right now is not really the person. This is like an alternate version. And so in good faith, that if you can love them through it a little bit and trust that, just like when people argue, let me digress for a moment. When people argue who love one another, if I say something that offends you, I have to trust that you know me well enough to know that if I said something offensive, I never meant it to be offensive. Kind of in good faith, I have to know that if you say something that hurts my feelings, you love me enough that if I got offended by it, it must not have been the way you meant it. So kind of the same thing here. In good faith, that the person that you're dealing with, who is knee deep or waist deep or throat deep in menopause, or dealing with these hormonal fluctuations or lack of hormones altogether, that's not the real person. That's this alternate version. And if you can just in good faith say, listen, we said we were going to do this life together, and I'm still choosing you. One thing, whenever Fort Worth, years and years and years ago, Fort Worth ruptured his quad tendon. And I know that you guys know what man colds are. So imagine a man cold times like 1,000. That's a quad tendon rupture on this man.
Yeah.
And it lasts a year.
And it lasts.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
That's a long
10
recovery.
years.
Yeah.
10 years. I'm sure he's still dealing with it. I'm sure the trauma is still part of it. But there were days when literally I would wake up and I have to say to myself, okay, if as shitty and horrible as this is right now, as horrible as this day-to-day, existence is, if it never got any better than this moment, would I still be here and still love this man? Yes. Okay. It's kind of the same mindset with going through menopause, facing deaths in the family, in financial struggles. It all, you by the time you get to menopause, the likelihood is most couples have gone through financial ups and downs. They've gone through loss, they've gone through gains, they've gone through wins and real struggles. Maybe children have kind of flown off the handle at some point or the other. You've had to stand united against that. Like, you've dealt with some shit that has prepared you to deal with this.
Yeah.
I kind of approach sex that way. I know that sounds bad.
No,
but
I completely agree. Sometimes
Rob is a man that
sex is
I've
checking
always
the box.
wanted to have sex with. So if I'm having an off day and he wants to have sex, yes, I know I want to have sex with him. Is my body
Yes.
in line with my mind? Maybe it's going to take, like you said, a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But yes, I know I want to have sex with him.
Yeah. It's
Oh
like,
my
it's like
gosh,
you're
you
making
just
the mental
triggered every
choice.
feminist out there.
Oh, yeah.
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 I
But
mean,
it's
and
true.
sometimes I qualify it. He's like, "Do you want to have sex?" Yes, I do have a headache, but yes, meaning I might lack a little enthusiasm, but yes.
It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
Don't
we
grade
said
my
that even with,
performance, but
yeah,
yes.
exactly. I will give you the hole that
Well,
you
and
needed.
I think this is a little something that these women that get so upset about this concept. I know duty sex, right? We're talking about duty sex and all this, and it's a huge topic. And just honestly, just the last like 2 weeks, we've been having this like 2 week long argument with GIF about this
Really?
whole topic. Yeah, and like, well, we did a podcast with him and Gia and Glenn, and it spun off and got weird, and honestly, like my part in it, like I was trying to prove a point to some ladies that were kind of pushing this whole duty sex thing, and I think some things came out in a way that I didn't really intend them to, and I really was just trying to make a point.
Yeah.
But it didn't. Anyways, it was a cluster. I finally just was like, you know what? I'm done. Like I want to make my point. I can't seem to make it. It's getting weird. I'm just gonna walk away. But where was I going with this? I totally forgot
Duty
now.
sex.
I'm thinking
Duty sex.
Yeah,
Yes,
duty sex
right,
or
duty
sex with
sex.
other women. That's why it kind of went off the rails.
Yeah.
It felt like he suggested that.
Yeah,
Ah.
well, and I did,
He
but I was
did.
trying to make a point. I was trying to make a point because the whole thing was, kind of my big problem with, I don't want to say problem with GIF because I like GIF and I like a lot of the stuff he says, but like this is one point about, he's like, well, men don't need sex, and but I feel like what that's really that's being dictated by his wife, and ultimately that was the point that I was trying to kind of make, but it kind of ended up spiraling off into this like, well, if your wife won't have sex with you, just go have sex with the chick down the street. But in trying to make a point, anyways,
Yeah.
long story short, like I said, it just went off the rails. But
Yeah.
But on the duty sex topic, like, yeah, I mean, I think that is the thing that these women don't really understand, or at least they're fighting against if they do understand it, which is it's not duty sex if you're mentally there.
Yeah,
Right?
you don't want to be in a position to say no.
Right. You don't want to be in a position to say no. It's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
I
So
think
like,
I think that people like to consider duty sex, what we consider duty sex, as essentially being equivalent of rape, and it's not the same thing. That's a misinterpretation of something that is. It's no different than putting in the reps in the gym. Like, you don't always feel like it, but it's best. The sexual benefits, are so much greater. Your oxytocin, your serotonin, I'm losing all the,
okay.
Your dopamine, whatever the case may be. You're getting all kinds of great boosts, and you're getting that connection, refurbished between you and your partner. That happens whether you are feeling it or not. So that's where I think that's where people get confused as to what duty sex is. It just means you're not 100% there. That doesn't mean it doesn't feel good. It doesn't mean you don't get the
Right.
benefits from it.
Well, and
But
I think kind of looping back to what I was trying to say earlier too, it's very important, I think, for men to understand, especially those who are kind of like gravitating towards this black pill view of like, if your wife isn't wildly like enthusiastic and it's like, you know, it's like, oh, well, dude, she's not attracted to you. Move on. Right. Like
yeah,
it's going to crash and burn here. When is it depends on the time of life, right? Because during this kind of hormonal perimonal, it is a thing women go through, right?
yeah.
So I think it's good for men to realize that, I think is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. And I think too, you know, some sex is better than no sex, right? So like us men, we like the enthusiasm, right? I mean, that's like the best sex, right? The enthusiastic sex is the best sex. But you know, if your husband, if you're mentally there as a wife, right? I mean, some sex is better than no sex. Even though it may not be the best sex, some sex is better than no sex, right?
Well, and what I always like to say is the best, if you're not feeling it as a woman, if you're not in it, the best way to make it in quickly is to be over the top enthusiastic, like fuck him like a porn star, like flip your hair around, like really talk, like be like, oh my God, your dick is the hardest it's ever been. It feels like it's gonna explode any minute. Like whatever you have to do, and it's
Rob,
something
never
to
have I ever.
I mean, if you don't want to be there, just make it like you've never wanted to be anywhere else, and it will
Yeah.
go quickly,
Right.
relatively speaking.
And even if you know she's acting, it still works. You're like, oh, okay. Your body doesn't know any different. It's
Well,
like watching a film. You're like, oh,
And it's a win-win because
yeah.
the same person who can pull that
Well,
off is probably like that on good days too. So it's a,
right.
you know,
Right. Well,
but
and I
truly,
think that's kind of the thing, right? I mean, at the end of the day, men are visual,
yeah,
right? Auditory. They like the enthusiasm. Like at the end of the day, it's like if you're putting on a performance, um, I mean, maybe as the man, you don't know any different, but you still should be okay with that, right? Because she's doing it for you, because she still
she's
cares
doing
yeah.
about
it for
you,
you.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
So, you know, I just don't, yeah, it really just bugs me, these guys that are like, you know, they think it's got to be like hot and heavy 24/7, you know, their whole life, or it's over, right? Which is
And
not true.
Yeah.
same for women. Like, rarely is there ever an excuse to say no.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And
Like, a
it's,
flat
you know,
no is,
This is
it's no
reminding me
different
of
than eating healthy meals, or I mean, it's something that you're doing for your body, for your relationship, for your connection. And I always say, like, the stronger your sexual connection, I'm sure you guys have found this because how long have y'all been married?
over 30 years.
Okay, so your kids are your kids and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if the kids are trying to pin you up against each other about some issue, like dad said this, mom said this, whatever, like the stronger your sexual bond,
Oh yeah.
the stronger your unity is, and the more you can handle any challenge
It's
as a
everything. I
team.
mean, it is
Yeah,
the
yeah.
foundation of everything. Yeah.
yeah,
I know. Another thing
completely.
that pisses the feminists off, but it's true.
whenever somebody
Yeah.
tries to pin us against one another, I'm like, oh, you don't even know us.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
that ain't happening.
That's not happening here at
No.
all. You can take that shit somewhere else. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
completely. Completely. I mean,
Yeah.
you want your kids to know that if the door is closed, you don't open it. You know, blood, fire, and broken bones were always my rules. You know, that totally different. You know, if something's on fire, I need to know. But otherwise, if you're not supposed to be bothering me, you're not bothering me. But like that they and I think another thing that people terribly fail at is not showing their families that they love one another in front of them. And I don't mean anything gross. I don't mean anything inappropriate. I mean like parents who don't love and kiss on each other,
Yeah.
who don't pat each other on the butts, like
Yep.
who don't, you know, your kids are healthiest when they see parents loving one another. And it's the perfect level when your kids are like, oh gosh, guys, ew, gross, like perfect, perfect.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
then they're actually seeing evidence that you and your spouse love one another, adore one another, find each other attractive, and I mean, that's a win.
So Bunny, I wanted to ask you. So in kind of some bantering I've been having the last week with some women on this whole topic that we're talking about right now. Now it wasn't specific to menopause; it was just more like the duty sex thing, and I mean, one of the chicks was like, "What do you want us to do? Use lube?" And I,
Why
I,
not?
well, this is kind of what I wanted to ask about. I mean, just from a fair, because you talked about, like, especially in this like menopausal, like some dryness stuff can happen. Um, I don't know that I've noticed any of that with her. I mean, you don't have to share that with me. I don't know. It hasn't been a thing I've picked up on if that's happening. But like, I mean, what is what is like some practical tips? So if you've got a woman and she's like, "Hey, I'm I'm mentally there. Like, I want to be there for my husband. My body is not there." Like, what can that woman do?
What can the woman do?
Well, what I mean,
Well,
what
together.
yeah,
Okay.
together, yes, together. I
Okay.
mean, what is the, like, "Hey, I want to sexually satisfy my husband." Yeah, we don't want duty sex because duty sex sucks. So I'm going to do my acting, but maybe my body is not cooperating. Like, what is some, like, I'm just saying, like, what is practical tips that you would give to a woman to say, like,
I would say, okay, so first off, I would say that outside of the bedroom, especially if you're dealing with something like this, but really all the time, touch all the time. Touch one another in non-sexual ways all the time, because just just like with anything, you can't show up at the game day and expect to perform if you haven't practiced, right? So a lot of people tend to not touch one another for long periods of time outside of sexual things. And so once she's kind of not feeling it, let's say she's going through perimenopause, menopause, and she's like, she doesn't have any interest in sex, that doesn't happen quite as much if they're still comfortable touching one another, right? So touching one another kind of is foreplay in a lot of ways, where you're comfortable touching each other, so that way you don't get the ick when he does touch you, because it's leading to sex. You know that sex is, because then she's immediately like, like, you only touch me when you want sex. No,
mm,
we touch all the time. Like, we touch all the time. I would say when you're in it, whether you don't actually want to be in it or not, that's where girls have to know their own bodies also. Like, the stuff that worked when we were 20, 30, 40 still works when we're 50. You know all the buttons to push on yourself. A lot of times it's more of a mental hurdle because she's almost pissed off that she has to do this right now. I've never experienced this, make no mistake. I think that Avis and I are kind of wired the same, where we're just sexually enthusiastic human beings, and it's
yeah,
a wonderful place to live because we're always happy and we're always sexually satisfied. It's a winning place to be. But if you're not mentally there, you're mad that you're having to do this, right? You're having to do this duty sex. But if you can kind of go, I love this man. He's been good to me. He made beautiful babies. Like, we have a good life. This is part of it. And you can not get mentally angry, but kind of go, okay, what can I do to enjoy this? And you know whether whatever your erogenous zones are that really get you triggered as a female, start working the edges. Like, if you have to do it, if you direct him to do it, if you say, I really love it when you do this, whatever it is, use that in your favor, and get the ball rolling. Like, it's in it, and I think it's similar to when women are I mean, I think it's very similar when women are dealing with a man who's running like erectile dysfunction issues. And I'm not saying like a chronic problem, but I mean, like, he's having an off night. His
mm,
mind's not there. There are plenty of times when I've been like surprise attacking Fort Worth, and he has to mentally kind of catch up. He's like,
I
whoa,
I think that's a
we
good.
weren't
I think
talking
that's a
about
good point.
taxes and
Yeah.
now you're jumping on my dick. Like, what is happening?
I
So
think that's a really, really good point you're making too, that doesn't really get talked about either, right? Is that like, I mean, men, we talk about men want sex all the time, and I think that is true, but it's not. It's that men are the same in a lot of ways too. It's like it's not just like if you weren't already mentally there, you too have to kind of mentally get there, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's kind of like a whiplash sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
And
interesting.
I think that also, you know, one thing that women can do, and I would say that I utilize this. He's gonna be like, oh, I recognize that move. Like, you know, I'll focus more on his body whenever I'm not necessarily there. I'm like, I don't really want you touching me there right now. I'm good. Like I'm not, I'm not mentally there right now. I don't really want that kind of. I don't want you. I'll just be explicit. I don't want you fingering me right now. I don't want you going down on me right now. And I know that there are some women who are like, why would you ever not want that? Well, because sometimes it doesn't sound like all that fun. But
Yeah.
I'll be like all over him. I'll be like, I will do whatever you want to your body right this second. Like, and that, because then that's, you know, exciting him, and it gets to be the Fort Worth show, you know, that does kind of catch my brain up to the action, right? So
Mhm.
if I can't mentally get over the hurdle, and make no mistake, there are certainly times when I'll be like, just so you know, I'm I'm mentally not here right now, you know, or it's taking me a while. I don't know why, you know, I'm not getting to that first orgasm, you know, but I'm in it to win it. Like, we're there, you know. Well,
Yeah.
just know that it's not you, it's me, you know.
Which is like I think in what you're talking through is like a total like this mental reframing of it's not duty sex, right? And I think that's an
Right.
important
Yeah,
point to
no.
make, that the people that are calling it duty sex, they genuinely don't want to have sex,
People who are
right?
calling it duty sex hate sex to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't convince me otherwise, because that's such a negative connotation that
Yeah.
they just they don't want it.
Well,
Yeah.
I hate to simplify this down. Just like with training, you know, your first decade of training, you're just learning mental tricks to get yourself to the gym
Yeah.
Mm.
and to actually stay, you know, for the first, you know, 10-minute rule. And then over time, you develop this set of tricks mentally that gets you to the gym for the next 30 to 40 years. Same thing with sex. You
Yeah.
have to develop a set of tricks mentally to get you to the starting gate.
Yeah.
And generally, once you get to the starting gate, things can happen. Um, and then again, it's just like training. You know, nobody's ever had sex and gone, man, I really wish I hadn't done that. Or at least within our little world here, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
So that was
Yeah.
really fun.
Yeah. I mean, nobody regrets that, or, you know, they walk away injured. Um, but that's the real deal, is you have to develop 3 or 4 mental tricks that
Mm.
get you to start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And consistently, because consistency is the key. It's where we have breaks. You have breaks that are unplanned, or, you know, not due to travel or business, that throws people off. They're like, you know, it's been months. Well, how do you restart
Oh
that?
my gosh.
It's just like
Yeah.
working out. You go, oh God, not again. I gotta start all over.
My rule is every day and twice on Sundays. That's like a foundational amount.
Yeah.
You know, but there are certainly times when that's not really the case, but it is tough. It's easier to do things consistently every day, and it's just part of, I don't want to say routine, because that also has a negative connotation, but it's like, and I don't want sex to be the very last thing of every day when everybody's tired and you just want to shower, or you just showered and you just want to go to bed, and you've been waiting to read this book all fucking day and you just lay down to, like, no. Sex is a priority. Sex needs to happen in the morning when you first wake up, if you have time, if you have the energy, if you wake up with a heart on, take advantage of it. At lunch, like, are the kids napping? Are are they everybody occupied? Are the kids at school? Are they, whatever the case, are they at a lesson? Are they at practice? Naked house, like, the not the last thing of every single day, where it just becomes one more like checkbox that you
Thank
have
you.
to do at the end of an exhausting, what feels like a 24-hour day of being awake and, having to do things for other people. I
Yeah.
think that's where the duty sex really comes in, is it's one more thing that you're doing for someone else. And adults see that in their lives like they need a hole in the head. Where midday sex, whatever, whenever you can like sneak it in, that not only adds excitement to it, but it also like it kind of gets you going, and you go and you have positive feelings from it. It's a
Yeah.
win-win. And then you probably will feel like having it again when you go to bed at night. Like, it's so beneficial.
Yeah.
Sex is a
Yeah.
healthy thing to do. I am a fan.
So much to Fort Worth's enjoyment and happiness. You've written a book called "Fuck Like a Porn Star."
I've
Okay.
written "Fuck Like a Porn Star." I've written "How to Make Her Squirt." I've written threesome book. I've written an orgasm book. I've written one other. I feel like there are five.
Threesome? Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
See,
like there are five in the "Fuck Like a Porn Star" series. Plus, I've done a "Fuck Like a Porn Star" course. Yes.
okay. So
Okay.
It's a
I haven't
favorite
read any of
topic.
these
you
yet.
you like to talk about sex, which is good.
I have no qualms talking about sex.
Yeah.
As long as I'm not currently being sued about it. But
it's pretty crazy. So what we talk about this thing, and it makes women really mad when we say it. Not all women like yourself, women like Avis, women like Gia, other women we know out there don't get mad about this. But when you say like, hey, be your husband's porn star, right?
yes.
It's a framing. It's a framing that the wife is kind of taking, right? And then applying that to her relationship for the benefit of the relationship. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, what would you, how, if I said to you, Bunny, how would you tell a woman to frame herself to be her husband's porn star? Like, what would that look like to you?
You know, I think that women get really hung up on what they look like when they're having sex. And they get
Mhm.
so in their head, we get so in our heads about folds there. I like, you catch yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, like my hands look whatever. I should have gotten my nails done. Like I just got out of the shower. My hair's all wet. Like any of it. Like we're so hard on ourselves that it's hard to get past that sometimes. But I think that part of this attitude of fucking like a porn star and being your husband's porn star is remembering that he's the one who wants you right then and there, no
Yeah.
matter what you look like, no matter whether you just came in from doing yard work or you just got out of the shower or anything, in between. Like, he wants you. And I mean, I know it's kind of a feminist book, but that Eat, Pray, Love book, I always love in these kinds of conversations to quote where these two women are sitting across the table from each other and they're eating pizza and they're like talking about how much weight they've gained while in Italy. And Julia Roberts' character in the movie says, essentially, she says, have you ever taken your clothes off with a man and he doesn't want to have sex with you? He says, oh, never mind, we're not going to have sex. Put your clothes back on. It's like, who gives a fuck? He doesn't care. He's excited. There are holes there to play with. There's, orgasms to be had.
Did she say this in the movie?
She didn't go into
Look, I missed that part entirely.
I thought we were about to have I don't know if you saw, like, this was like last year or something. Gia made a post, basically it was like, you have a 3-hole cis, and it went like completely viral. I mean, it had like 20 million
That's
views
awesome.
or something. Like, got a bunch of women.
Exactly.
It sounded like we were about to have one of those moments here.
It's true. Like,
Yeah.
there are lots of ways to play. And I don't think that I've pushed this enough with this new attraction matriarch moniker, but under my Playboy's Buddy, I did say frequently, like, sex play doesn't have to always mean penetration either. It can mean sex play. Like, there are all kinds of ways that you can play. Mutual masturbation, oral in every different way, shape, and form. Like, if you're comfortable with anal, if you're like, everyone has kind of their own interests, their kinks, if you will, their proclivities, enthusiasms. Like these things can stretch far and wide, and there are all kinds of ways to kind of tick that, like scratch that itch, right? So it doesn't have to always be, I think that that's where people lose interest in sex, is because it's the same one position, and then we go to this position, and then we come, and then we go to, like, we roll over and
Just
we go to
say
sleep,
no to
or we eat.
starfish sex.
Yeah, starfish sex. I mean, there are women who literally, you put a dick in them and they just
like they short out.
Go limp. I've seen it. It's disturbing.
We've been there.
It's the weirdest thing ever.
It's like electric boxing. Like it shorts out. It just goes. What's going on?
So weird. I wouldn't believe it if I had to see.
We hadn't seen it ourselves.
But like, but I think that this is where sex gets so boring for some people, because they think it has to be quiet missionary in the dark. Well, who wants to do that every day for 50 or 60 years? Gag. Like there's nothing thrilling about that. You can understand why.
What? I'm just laughing.
You can understand why people would not want to do that.
Yeah.
But there are all kinds of great ways to play.
I agree. I mean, and it's funny you're talking about this. It's kind of making me recall. I mean, I know, again, the internet experts out there, and they're like, yeah, there's no way that like you're like happy in the same marriage with the same chick for 30 years. And it's like, I mean, we're really sexually adventurous, right? So like it doesn't,
making my cheeks
it doesn't get old though. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's kind of the point you're making, is that like, if you keep it exciting, it stays exciting, even for decades and decades and decades. Yeah.
Well, I think
I could understand if it was just like starfish for 30 years, I'd be like, yeah, fuck this. Like,
a lot of we forget, a lot of people have trouble projecting or like imagining how other people see things or do things. Kind of like when I talk about no one exercises. Well, no one exercises, really. Like less than 1% of the population. But the people in our little world think everybody does.
Yeah.
And no one does. Actually, no one. Yeah. And I think the same thing is like, these guys that like want a lot of variety and they're 25 or 27, they can't imagine, a 30, 40, 50-year marriage that everybody's happy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
There's a lot of mental restrictions here.
Yeah.
It's just the engine's just never going to put out that much power. So they can't get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think the same thing can be said, that same kind of mindset can be said for the people like us who understand how incredibly beneficial sexual chemistry and connection is to the relationship and the family as a whole because of it.
Yeah.
It's us that are like, yeah, sex is great. Sex is awesome. Yeah, it's not really duty sex, but you're not always there, but you still do it. It's the people who don't feel that connection. They don't kind of give it a chance to develop in that way, that are the ones who are going to scream the loudest in opposition.
Yeah.
Plus
for women, I mean, I know women, the longer you go without it, the more your brain says, I don't need it.
Right.
So you were talking about not taking breaks. I mean, that is like part of the chemistry of it, right? Like,
which is really interesting because it's very different for men, right? It's like men, I think, I can't remember, I read it in a book one time. I was like, it makes perfect sense. And they were talking about like men's sex drive is kind of like a rubber band, right? It like stretches tighter. And you're like, this has got to get relieved. Right.
Yeah.
And then it relieves and then you're kind of back. Right. And then you're okay for a bit until it like, and and depending how quick that rubber band stretches depends on a lot of different factors. Right. But which sounds very different from how women describe it, where it's like, oh no, like we're having sex, like we'll keep having sex and we'll keep, right. Like,
right. But make no mistake. And here's what floors me. Women will not want to have sex with their husbands, whether they're in menopause yet, whether they're perimenopause, or whether they're not even there, like close yet. They'll be bitter bitches. They don't want to have anything to do with them sexually. But they say it's because they don't really like sex. I don't enjoy sex. I don't like sex. I don't want sex if I never had it again. As soon as they split up and they get on that dating market and they start opening their legs, they cannot get enough sex. It's it's their mindset that shifts. It's not even the man, because most of these women, even if he looks different on paper, we all have a type, right? So she's still dating essentially the same man over and over and over again in just different skin a lot of ways. But all of a sudden, she loves sex. Think of the movie, what what what's got to give? Something's got to give, or something. It's Diane Keaton and Jack Nicholson, and she's like, "Oh my God, I love sex," and she's 65 years old or whatever she is in the movie, but which is kind of a gross idea, I know, is to think about for some people, like especially the 25-year-olds.
Oh yeah, when you're 20 and you're like, holy, like, no, 60-year-old people, no.
Yeah, but truly, we have even a middle 30s client who just went through a divorce, and sex was the biggest issue they had. And this is a female client who I was essentially like, just fucking have sex with your husband. Just start prioritizing it. You will find what works. You'll get that connection back, but you have to actually just open your legs and allow it to happen for a little bit. Like, you're gonna need to do that. And she just couldn't do it. And now she's fucking her way around the country, and she loves sex all of a sudden. It had nothing to do with her husband's, skill set, or he's a handsome man. They have a lovely little family. Like, it has nothing to do with anything.
She's traveling to foreign countries to get away from prying eyes.
Well, you know what I mean. Like, she's tasting all the colors of the rainbow, but because it was just a mental thing for her. It had nothing to do with her not liking sex. It was that she was kind of putting that on him, projecting it on him, and it was really just her mentally just deciding that she shouldn't have to have sex with her husband.
He was the problem.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
crazy.
And it happens all the time.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
I know. I feel I have a lot of empathy for men that kind of end up in this situation. And I mean, not to completely absolve men. Men have some input and, some play into that too. But
I felt really bad for the women. Like the women of our previous generation, where HRT was seen as this bad thing, and they went through menopause and they suffered.
Yeah.
Like, I
truly
cannot
suffered.
imagine. Yes.
Yeah.
Their
I
marriages
agree.
suffered, their bodies suffered, their work suffered.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
the more I learn and the more I look at the women that went before me and see like the divorce and the carnage that happened in the wake of what I now know as perimenopause, I'm
Right.
just like, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything you see
Wow.
hormones and everything.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
and I do think that that's where there also was a disconnect at home. He had a job outside of the home, and he worked, and he was like, the leader of the household. And I mean, I don't want to be too like the Donna Reed show, or Leave It to Beaver or whatever, but like, that's what I think of. And I think, well, even if she's being a bitch, it's probably like contained. He has so much control in that household that she knows, kind of, for lack of a better way to say, not to act up too much, not to let her cunt flag fly too hard. Now, in this day and age, women almost get energized by this feeling, this negative feeling, this hateful feeling, this rage that you were talking about, and are like, I'm gonna burn this shit to the ground, and I don't care who I take with me. And there's not that containment anymore. There's so little containment because most households are not masculinely, strong run households where there's a real hierarchy of leadership in there. And, I mean, this is the deterioration of American family. But I think that, yes, they suffered through it, but it also was more contained at home, to where mom was in a bad mood tonight, but it wasn't destroying the lives of everyone around them. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah, just avoid her,
Yeah.
Boys, go do your homework. I'm going
Yeah.
to sit and remember reading the newspaper. I mean, again, I have a very idealized view of the generation before, but I also came up in a generation like that. That's very much how my parents were. I always say I essentially like was a Mayberry kid, like, and it was great. But I do feel like the hierarchy in the household, the masculine leadership was stronger then, and I think that kind of behavior of these women going through this unmedicated was more contained.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Is there such a thing as too sexually adventurous?
Probably. I mean, I think
Yeah.
there's too sexually adventurous when
When it's like
you're
mismatched
being
libidos or something.
yeah,
Is
when
it?
you're being risky with your decisions. I think it's true with anything. It's adrenaline junkies are adrenaline junkies, right? But there's a certain point where you're gonna die. if
Yeah.
you if you keep pushing that envelope, it's going to be
Yeah.
what kills you. I think
I
that the same can be true with sexual adventure.
yeah. I was kind of thinking along the lines of like mismatched libidos kind of thing, and like it's like
For sure.
how do you kind of navigate that with I don't know, and maybe there's no good answer to that.
I
It's
think
just
that's where it gets, yeah, I mean, I agree with Fort Worth. I think that's where it gets really tricky because if it's a truly mismatched libido, um, you're going to fall out of love with one another. That
yeah.
connection is what keeps that love alive. And you can appreciate someone, you can respect someone, you can love them for the person that they are. But if you have such an off, unbalanced libido, that is going to cause serious rot from the inside and probably very quickly. Because
Yeah.
if he's super high libido and she has none, that is a match made in destruction.
And I think
Yeah.
what gets lost and doesn't get mentioned often at all is how genetic sex drive and sexual enthusiasm is.
Yeah,
It's like being a natural athlete. You are born with it and it just happens.
true.
You're good at it and then you develop the skills over time and you're good at it and you orgasm quickly and you are tactile, you're in good health, you have good endurance and you have an enthusiasm for it. And what would you say? Like a lot of exposure doesn't affect you mentally. A lot of this is genetic.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
sometimes these guys, and I, because I deal mostly with guys, they'll be with a girl that has a lower sex drive that is ideal for him, but he'll think that he can change it. He thinks it's a mental game
Yeah.
or exposure, but she's hardwired to it not being an important thing. And even
Huh.
mentally, it just trying to push that isn't healthy for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think the genetic component isn't mentioned as much as it should be. And again, it's something that, you kind of ferret out on the front end.
Yeah, no, I'm glad.
And avoid long-term,
Yeah.
problems.
Because think of like there are girls who really can only orgasm in a specific position. There's biological reasons for that. There's structural things going on there. Or, penises are shaped different ways. Some of them point different, they curve. Like this all affects where it's hitting inside of us during penetration. So I think that that's a really important thing. Plus, think of women who naturally are multi-orgasmic. Of course, you're going to enjoy it more. You're having this amazing wave over and over and over again, maybe countless
I mean,
times.
not all women have this like just rolling orgasm thing that goes forever. That's not a thing
No,
every woman does?
unfortunately, they don't.
Oh,
And
wow.
what I feel the most sorry for is the women who are like, okay, I got mine. You go on and finish, and want to essentially just stop. I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, whoa, whoa. You had that feeling and you don't want to have it again? Like, keep going. Like,
Yeah.
let's go. Let's go. I mean,
Yeah.
but that is, I think, exactly what Fort Worth's talks about, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we do talk about that quite a bit, but it's like there's such a genetic component to being a sexually enthusiastic girl in the first place, what all it takes to kind of be wired this way. I'm convinced, and I'll never ask her, but I'm convinced my mom's a freak in the sheets because I got it from somewhere.
My
And if you
mother
met
has
my dad, you would
confirmed.
know it wasn't from him. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like there's definitely, and I definitely think that exactly like what you were saying, some women just aren't going to be as quick to orgasm, or it maybe isn't as pleasurable an experience. I mean, even Fort Worth in his like, I laugh all the time, and y'all probably have heard me say it, that of course he had to like actually date me, like because he had already fucked his way around Fort Worth. Like he'd run out of girls. I was left. But like he would even tell me about girls who are like, he'd get a toy out or something like that, and they'd be like, no, I don't want to lose my shit in front of you. Like there's
Oh
a
wow.
mental blockade
Yeah.
here that I
With
don't know.
men, and the men's attitude is like, no, please lose your shit. That's what I
Please
like.
lose your shit.
Yeah.
It's true.
Please make
Yeah.
all those contorted faces or
And
whatever.
they're
Right.
self-conscious and they don't know you well enough, or for whatever reason.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
It's yeah. So I think that there's definitely like genetic, biologic, upbringing. A lot of people have a lot of guilt around sex. They have a lot of shame around just the act itself, whether you're in or out of marriage. And we talk about this a lot too, but it certainly piggybacks on this that, women who come to sex with a lot of guilt and shame. And
Mhm.
I'll just say, I mean, I'm a Christian. I'm not like knocking Christianity and teaching, but if you're taught that it is a shameful thing to
Yeah.
have, and then suddenly the day the ring goes on the finger, you're supposed to be completely comfortable with it, and you're supposed to be comfortable being seen naked for the first times, or being touched in this way that you've never been touched before, or all genuinely being comfortable being seen in all of these kind of environments. That is a serious mental shift.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot to overcome. So if you were raised with that, then there's also this other component of just guilt and shame
I
around something that's a beautiful thing.
I think that is an excellent point, and it's very, very common. I think,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we see it a lot. Yeah, I mean, like if I kind of rewind, I mean, Avis and I have had a great long, we've been together since high school prom. We're now in our early 50s,
I
right? So we've been together
love
a long
that.
time.
Oh my God,
But
that's awesome.
But I will say, I mean, I think as we've talked about, right? I mean, we have good sex. That's just part of it, right? It's part of the glue that holds us together. Um, but she was not raised in the church. That wasn't something that I came from, my mom was very, very religious, and she's been every religion you can probably name at some point when I was growing up. So I was raised in that environment, but I have almost considered it in some ways a blessing that she didn't get caught up in that, right? Because I do feel bad for like what you're talking about, these women that come out, and it's just like, oh my God, what do you know that? What? That's shameful.
Yeah.
That,
No,
right? Yeah.
I was very young. My mom took me to Denny's. I think I was like 12, and she was like, if you tell me everything you know about sex, I'll tell you everything I know about sex. And I was like, Mom, we're in a restaurant.
Yeah.
She's like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of like
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So then my question then is, when it came time with your own children coming from two very different ways of being raised, then how did you, if you don't mind me asking, kind of have those kinds of conversations with your own children?
Yeah, I hit the girls head on.
Yeah.
Our one daughter had
We have two girls and a boy.
yeah.
Okay.
Our one daughter was in a relationship, and I was like, "You guys having sex?" She's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Are you using condoms?" "No, so and so doesn't want to talk about it." And I was like, "Well, not talking about condoms leads to kids, and then you're going to have to talk about worse stuff.
Yeah.
So let's get that talked about, or let's quit, because
Yeah.
you're either adult enough to talk about it, or you're not adult enough to
And,
have
we- and we
sex."
never shame them about it. I mean, it doesn't work, right? I mean,
No.
I was having sex when I was like 15, 16, right? It doesn't
Right.
matter that, like, your
Yeah.
parents are going to be like, don't do that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. Yeah.
If
Well,
you're
and the
Never
more
doing
like
it,
out there
parents
again.
push
yeah.
against something, the more they
Right.
want it. So
Right.
that's just a
Yeah.
Just
surefire
doesn't
way to
work.
get me to
Yeah.
do it more.
Yeah. I'm all about education with a sprinkling of my opinion.
I
You
love
know,
it.
like, this is what I would like for you to do, but this is what you need to know to make your own choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to title this episode something like, I don't know, my wife's in perimenopause. Am I fucked? Well, I don't
Not
know.
a
I'll
bad
come up
title.
I love that.
Right people will open it.
Yeah, but like, you know, like I don't know if that's exactly what I'll go with, but something, you know, what would you say? Like maybe to kind of like wrap this thing up. Like, is that the case? Because I think in through this whole conversation, what we're concluding is that's not the case, right? And but a lot of it has to do with the framing of the woman. You
Completely.
know, maybe there's a lot of factors, but
Yeah.
it's not an automatic. You're not fucked, right?
No. No, I think the problem, overall, the problem with going through menopause is it could happen. It could last 3 years. It could last 7 or 10. Like the problem is this moving target of not really knowing what you're looking at. And that makes it feel like it's going to last forever.
And you truly don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I think, my big thing is always just like, love her through it, try not to piss her off. And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean kowtowing to her. Make no mistake. I'm not saying like be her whipping boy. I'm saying
Sure.
avoid it. There's no
Yeah. Just
reason. There's
just
no
let her
reason
be.
to pinch, kick the
Yeah.
bear, like,
Eh,
or poke
eh,
the bear, or whatever the,
Ava's
you
had a
know.
morning, I don't know, a week ago. Like, I mean, it's just, I don't know what happened, but she was
I don't
like,
know either.
but I was laughing. I mean, I was genuinely laughing. Like, I just was like, this is hilarious to me. I mean, it's like, that was kind of my attitude, right? I didn't get pissed off about it. I didn't like, it was just, it was genuinely funny to me because I was like, you were
Right.
fine 10 minutes ago and now you're like a little 7-year-old kid. Like, what is this? But like, to kind of your point of like, I'm not shaming her about it. I'm not yelling at her about it. I'm just like, yeah, it's kind of cute observation. This is
Yeah.
just a new phase of life, right?
Well, she's the biggest kid in the room. Like, that's always what we say about women, really, of any age. Like, just remember, she's the biggest teenager in the room. At every age, women are going through some hormonal roller coaster from hell. And menopause is just kind of like extra rough because they've also kind of gotten to a point where they're like, you know what? I give up. I don't care. I don't care what anybody thinks anymore. Like, that's kind of the edge that menopause brings. And
Yeah.
so I think if you can just remember that that's not really the person, that's just this thing talking, and love them through it and try not to piss them off, it goes a long way.
I get kind of irritated about the timeline. Some people will be like, "Oh, well, when you get this fixed." I'm sorry, I'm not broken, and fixing it is like, who knows that timeline? Like, this is me
It's true.
now, and we need to deal with this now.
And it is frustrating because the perfect that perfect triangle of medications that help, that HRT that help today, in 3 years may not work the same. So it's kind of like you hear about like thyroid medicine just suddenly not working anymore and you have to change the dose. It's the same thing with the HRT stuff and any of this, it's all fluctuating hormones, and everything, including the foods that we're ingesting, the sleep that we're getting, the exercise that we're getting, the sunlight that we're getting, the sexual activity, all of these things have an effect on our overall systemic mood, like health,
Yeah.
projection. So it's like everything kind of has to be ticking all the boxes to feel good and to feel like yourself. And that's a real drag.
And I think a word to the wise for maybe some younger people that are listening to this, I think the more kind of like you have taken care of yourself up to that point and stay fit, the easier ride you're going to have.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the more you prioritize sex, the less you'll dislike it when you're in it too. I mean, it just is, it's a habit in the best possible way. If you don't want to hate sex when you're 50, then you better really love sex when you're 30, because and keep it going. It's I know we
Yeah.
keep, taking things back to exercise, but a lot of things really
huge.
correlate.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. It's huge.
yeah,
So huge.
absolutely. Absolutely. And sex being so important. I know sometimes I'm in the middle of it and Rob just takes my hand and takes me to the bedroom. And then 30 minutes later, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm better now. Thanks.
I'm so much better. I got fixed.
Yeah.
It's kind of like those
Well,
Snickers commercials. You weren't you weren't mad. You were just hangry. It's just like, yeah, I'm just
I have
having
this thing
sex.
that I like to say, actually, that I had someone make a video of me making fun of it, or they made fun of me about it. But which is basically like, you'll do far more good for your marriage fucking your wife than you will making love to her. And that's one of those times, right? It's just like, it's
So
like,
true.
just go fuck her, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's
So
going to solve a
true.
lot of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Fuck her like a porn star, man.
Fuck her
There
like
you
a
go.
porn star. There you
Fuck
go.
her like there are cameras and people and you name it. You just go at it. Just do it. I'm a fan.
So to wrap this whole thing up, any last words? What's next for you guys? What's
We're currently grinding it out.
grinding it out? Okay.
Which doesn't sound
Yeah, I
sexy.
know it doesn't sound sexy, but with Fort Worth Playboy, I'm got a routine, and we're just trying to fine tune it. And I have an inner circle group that I'm trying to build and feed and learn from, and it's mostly my top guys that and we interact and just basically, like the red pill says, trade notes
Yeah.
and try to get better together. And then she is
You don't have the distraction of all the
the noise,
the normies and noise
people interrupting,
on Twitter,
or people that don't really understand what's going on. And Bunny has hit the ground running.
Yeah.
The new.
I've only been back for 3 months, but
you never know it. I mean, it's
Oh
on.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the entire time she was gone, I'd be like, man, this was a lot more fun when you were like on. Because I did. How long did I go? Like 2 years by myself.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is. I would say it almost every day. I'd be like, man, this is a lot more fun when you were doing it too.
We just have fun. And what's the funniest part? I don't know how much you know of our like origination story on Twitter or X, but it started kind of because we were like, we have all these sexual fun fantasies, activities that we do, but we can't talk about them to anyone. And so we started these anonymous, at the time, accounts.
No face.
So that we could just talk shit about, like,
just have real discussion.
Our sex party got canceled, so we're gonna go to the club instead. Like, everything that we would ever not say to real people, we would say. And then it just exploded. Like,
well,
it just kind of.
There's such a hunger for this stuff. You're right, because people don't talk about it, right?
Yeah.
And so people are like, my sex life sucks, or my sex life's great. And it's like what you were kind of talking about, Fort Worth, like trading notes and like people just having not having a bunch of shame around talking about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, this wasn't on my bingo card either, but here we are.
Oh yeah, there's been times.
Yeah.
Avis and I, this little project we've been doing about a year and a half now, and like we do some of these podcasts, and we'll get off, and Avis will be like, "Are we really talking about this stuff on the internet?" Like,
yeah.
When I get
does your family know?
When I get like
down now.
stressed, from trying not to smile, my cheekbones start hurting.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But now all of my family essentially knows that I am fully comfortable talking about it. It helps people. It helps people understand better why sex is an important component to relationships.
The people that are out there poo-pooing it and getting upset and saying, "Oh my gosh, you shouldn't be talking about sex," fuck them. Is how I feel about it. It's like people are hungry for this stuff, and if you're willing to talk about it, you're doing a disservice by not talking about it, because you're going to help somebody.
Yeah,
exactly. We've helped hundreds of thousands of people at this point. It's been a great road, and we have a lot of success, and so it's enough to motivate us to continue to go and grow. It's a win-win.
It's true.
Good stuff.
Love it.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you
It's been a
guys
great
for having
conversation.
us.
No, it's been fun. We'll have to do it some more.
Now everybody's horny, so we're all gonna get off of here.
Yeah,
and
get off here and go have sex, right?
go do
Yeah.
other things.
Talking about it. You can't talk about it and not do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can't be
Cool.
liars.
No,
Yeah.
no. We're action takers here.
So one more time, I can't remember if we did this in the beginning or not, we introduced you or not, but if not, just to kind of close the loop here, if people have interest, where can they get your books? Where can they find about you? Where do they go to find you?
On X, I am now the X as in the letter matriarch, the X matriarch. On Patreon, I'm attraction matriarch. And if you want like my old school stuff, like all that Fuck Like a Porn Star series, I'm slowly getting things moved over to Patreon, but all of that is still housed at gumroad.com, and my moniker there is still My Playboy Bunny. So all of that is still available. Fuck Like a Porn Star. Reignite Your Wife, which is a huge factor here. I've got a whole course, Reignite Your Wife. And it essentially talks to men whose marriages have gone without sex and become dead bedrooms, and they want to literally reignite that connection. And we go through all of what we've talked about today in that course. But I've got all kinds of great books. He's got a lot of great books on Fort Worth Playboy spelled out at Gumroad. And then he's FW Playboy at Twitter on X.
Yeah, over 100K followers now, right? I think
Yeah.
you broke 100K plus. Yeah, nice. Congrats.
Incredible. That was so fun.
It really, and it's kind of crazy. It really picked up from that point on. We suspected it. I think there's certain landmarks, 50K, 2, 5, 20, 50, 100. I don't know what comes after 100. I'm guessing 250, for these guys. But it really picked up.
What we were saying, you can't say there's not a hunger for this stuff. So,
it's true.
Thank you guys for being out there and sharing your knowledge and sharing it with people. It's good.
We love it. We
appreciate you all inviting us.
Yeah, same. All right. Thank you guys. We'll see ya.
Have a good one. Bye.